When thinking about your move from senior to staff, what do you think was the biggest challenge you faced in getting to staff?
Hi, Julie. I think the biggest challenge of getting to staff was identifying all the evidence that proved I was operating at the required level. I think we all need to remember, whether it's for annual performance reviews or for promotions, we need to find a way of keeping track of what we've achieved.
The biggest challenge in my move from senior to staff was, without a doubt, the promotion process. Unfortunately, yeah. Don't get me wrong, there was certainly imposter syndrome happening. But I would say that's part of the promotion process, right? You start writing the doc, and then you're questioning yourself, like, oh my goodness, I can't write that about myself. People point at me and laugh and say, like, look what he thinks he can do. What a ridiculous notion. But yeah, I think that is natural. The promotion process itself had changed shortly before my cycle, and not just changed, but it had been in a beta test of a new process, and so it was unclear if that test would conclude and then remain, or conclude and revert back to what it was before. Timelines changed with very short notice. It really wasn't fun. It caused a lot of pain and anguish. We were lucky that our managers were very involved and deeply grateful. We quickly made an internal channel with everyone who was going for the promotion at the time for rapid communication and really sharing quickly what we all learn when talking to people ops and stuff like that. But it still was really, it's going through the promotion process is already challenging and taxing when it's well defined. And unfortunately, when we went through it, the last batch of staff SEs went through it, it really wasn't well defined. That is also, again, that is not like a super dramatic bombshell. I gave that feedback publicly because it really felt that didn't feel like GitLab wanted me to succeed in that promotion, like at the organizational level. I never doubted the commitment of my manager and like that's all fine, right? But that was not a good state of affairs. And yeah, I definitely gave that feedback already. Lots of those changes, I think, have now reverted back, and it should be more well defined. It was right at the time where we moved from quarterly to twice a year, stuff like that. So there is a lot more clarity now. But for me personally, yeah, that was the biggest challenge. We spent weekends typing on our docs because timelines moved up, and no, it was not great. Can't lie, it was really not great.
Thanks for the question, Julie. So when thinking about my move from senior to staff, what do I think was the biggest challenge? So for me personally, we talked about it earlier in the video, but myself is definitely the biggest challenge. So I think for a long time, I put this wall in front of me and my imposter syndrome just manifested and it prevented me from going anywhere. And, I think I got quite content with where I was at, even though my work would say otherwise and I was doing some, staff level stuff. So having the right people around you to support you, mentor you, and just kind of help you navigate those feelings. So yeah, big props to Jane for helping me with that. That's when I realized that, hey, why am I putting this wall up? The wall doesn't need to be there. So, just punch that wall down, and just move on. And yeah, that's how I got through that.
I think that one of the biggest challenges that I faced in getting to staff support engineer was an internal struggle with imposter syndrome. I had only ever seen 3 people in the role, and every single one of them was absolutely incredible. And so it was really easy for me to say, well, I'm not any one of those people, therefore I'm not a staff support engineer. And that's obviously a fundamentally flawed and limiting way of thinking. And I had to be able to dispense with that enough to even see that this role for me was a possibility. So I absolutely do still have an ongoing relationship with imposter syndrome, but just getting to staff support engineer was an important milestone in my ongoing effort to conquer imposter syndrome, maybe one day.